Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do Twixtor. So Twixtor is a plugin that's used for frame interpretation, which is the blending of frames together. So basically what will happen when I use Twixtor is it'll take these frames and it'll make frames in between them so that I can slow-mo the clip and higher the frame rate, as well as time remap it more. So I'm just going to hop in to how I use Twixtor and how I go about doing it. So the first thing I do is I cut the Twixtor and make everything one frame long so that the clip will be in the frame rate of my composition. So to do that, I move through the frames, and every frame that has movement of the character I cut. So I see that Keyframe moves there, so I cut, and I just continue through this, cutting each frame. Alright, so now all my clips are cut when there's movement. So for the next step, you click on the bottom clip and you hold down shift and you click the top clip and you drag them all so they're one frame long. Then you right click on any of the clips, go keyframe assistant, sequence layers, and then you just click OK, make sure overlap isn't checked off, and it'll line them all up like this. So now my clip is 30 FPS like this. It moves in every single frame. Next thing I do is I pre-compose, so right click on one of the clips while they're all selected, pre-compose, move all attributes to new composition. Then I find Twixtor and I use Twixtor Pro. I set my input frame rate to the frame rate of the composition because I cut it to make it 30 FPS, my composition 30 FPS, but if your composition was in say 24, you'd interpret 24. But I'm doing 30 because my composition's in 30. So yeah, the frame interpretation 30, contrast edge enhance for image prep, for frame interpretation, motion weighted blend, and forward. And then once I'm done that, I pre-compose it one more time, and I press Command Option T to open up time remap. And with time remap, I can drag the clips out and make them as long as I want. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to make my clip the length of this composition. Now, once it renders, you'll see that there's movement in every frame from start to end. But one thing you will notice is because of the forward blend, it warps at the end here. So to get rid of that, I go one frame before it starts warping, keyframe it, and then drag it to the very end. And now that warp should be gone. So one of the bonuses of using time remap to slow down your clip is this. If you select both keyframes, do F and F9, you can easy ease them and you can graph your motion. So for example, if I made the graph like this, wherever it's steep it will move the most. So most of the clip will have the movement at the start and then it'll be slow for the rest. Or that graph looks a little bit fast, but maybe I want to do something like this where it's fast at the start and then it's slow in the middle and then fast at the end again. So basically wherever the graph is steep, the clip will move the most. One other thing you can do to make your Twixtor look even smoother is use Rsmb. So to do Rsmb, you just add an adjustment layer, find your Rsmb. My settings are usually around 50 motion sensitivity and 0.3 blur amount, and what this does is it blurs the motion of Keyframe. So like as his hair moves, as his body moves, it adds a motion blur just to make everything look a little bit smoother. So one of the things I also want to talk about with Twixtor is that the reason why I chose this clip specifically was because in this clip there are a lot of frames that have very little movement, so that it can blend them together very well and create lots of extra frames without warping. If you had a clip that had a lot of movement, it would be very difficult to Twixtor without having warps, because there's no frames in between for them to blend together. So that's how I do my Twixtor. I really hope that helps. Thank you for watching.